Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
A very warm welcome to today's webinar hosted by Airship Aviation Academy. Today's webinar will be about your airline entrance examination, specifically of your CPL entrance exam. We'll be speaking about it, and majorly it covers about your Indigo's examination, since last CPL vacancies have been come out of Indigo only. All right. So before we start, how many of you have appeared for an airline examination before?
Sir, me.
Okay, Karthik, which one?
Sir, Air India Express 1, 2025 Feb.
Okay, so you are still waiting for it?
No, sir, I was not able to clear it.
Okay. Anyone else who had appeared for any examination? All right. So I'm assuming everyone have recently completed their CPL and are looking for guidance of how the examinations are conducted. And so we'll be talking about it. All right. Is my screen visible?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right. So today's topic is cracking the airline entrance CPL high yield topic roadmap and analyzing previous year recruitment trends and essential study areas. All right. So before we begin, can anyone tell me why is it important or why is it very important to score high in your written examination? Not talking about clearing the examination, but scoring high. Anyone has any idea regarding the merit list?
Sir, so that our GDPI happens fast.
Okay, correct. So if you're high up in the merit list, you will be shortlisted for your ADAPT, GD, and PI much before, and in turn, your induction will be much quicker. I'll give you an example of Indigo April 2024 vacancy. All those who had scored high in the written examination, I'm talking about the CPL candidates, they got inducted in July 2025, and those who just managed to pass, they will be inducted in July or August of this year. So you can see there's a directly a gap of 1 year. So that is why it is very important to score high in your written exam. Okay, so let's start subject wise. What is expected and how to prepare for it? All right, so starting with your air navigation and radio aids, it consists of your three subjects, very important. So the digital navigator beyond dead reckoning. Modern airline exams have shifted focus from simple paper navigation to instrument logic and numerical precision. So your basic theoretical questions which are asked in DGCA are not asked in your airline entrance. Concepts are asked which will make you scratch your head, and concepts are applied. So you can expect those kind of questions. That's why concept clarity is really important. In radio navigation, basically your GPS. GPS is very important, consists of RAM and GNSS. What are the type of GNSS? This was a question in April 2024. And CPDLC, what does CPDLC stand for? Again, a question in your Indigo, both in April and September vacancy. How does IRS and INS work? So these are the types of gyros and how they are affected. And it is a bit tougher for the CPL candidates because CPL candidates have not experienced the usage of IRS or INS. So that is why it is a bit tricky. So however, questions are asked from your IRS and INS. Now coming to the numerical part. This is where most of the students tend to leave out this topic. However, this is very important and asked frequently. So your point of no return and critical point. So around 2 to 3 questions. So usually there are around 60 questions in your airline entrance. Specifically speaking about Indigo, there are 60 questions and around 2 to 3 questions are of CP and PNR. So you will be given the outbound ground speed, you will be given the homebound ground speed, and you have to find what is the critical point or the point of no return. So please keep in mind that you won't be having scientific calculator with you. So you have to make all the calculations on the paper without the calculator. So that is why you should practice the numericals without the calculator and practice them often. All right. Next is 1:60 rule. Again, very important. Important for uh, around 5 questions are asked from your 1:60 rule. Does anyone know what is 1:60 rule?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Do you have any
I,
idea? Not
uh,
asking the exact definition.
Oh, definition, sir.
No, not asking the exact definition. Give me the practical overview of it.
Sir, it is angle equals distance off track upon distance gone into 60.
Okay, correct. So your 1 is to 60 rule, it is very important. It is not restricted to your general
Uh,
navigation. Yes, was that? Go ahead.
Sir, in mean terms or in actual definition you want?
No, I don't want actual definition, like overview of 1 is to 60 rule.
So basically, like every 60 nautical mile we travel, 1 degree will error make me 1 nautical mile off track.
Okay, okay, all right. So we'll not go into the definitions right now. However, your 1 is to 60 rule again, very important. So again, your tracks, outbound track, correction, your how much you are off the track, and to get back on the track, questions like these are asked. For example, in Indigo, it was asked if you're traveling from place A to place B, which is 500 nautical miles apart, you're traveling at a ground speed of, let's say, 180 knots, and after 1 hour you realize that you're 6 nautical miles port of the track. So the question was what heading you will turn to get back on the track. So correction angle, track error, all these are question of 1 is to 60 rules are. However, 1 is to 60 rule is not only restricted to this. Even in your radio navigation, I'm sure you all must have seen the questions of ILS. If you are 1 dot or half dot above and 1 dot to the right. Have you all seen that question?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
That is also solved using the same thing, 1 is to 60 rule. That is theta is equal to S by R into 60. So it is very important. And even in your practical flying, again, you don't have calculators in your cockpit. So you have to make all these calculation mentally and very fast. All right, that is why it is important. Then chart navigation, calculating your top of descent, rate of descent, and ground speed. Again, 2, 3 questions are asked from this, that what will be your top of descent and rate of descent. You will be either given the glide slope or the gradient. All right. So questions like these are asked. Again, you won't be having the calculator in the examination. Then the most important topic is your payload. Easily 5 questions are asked from your payload. All right. So you can be asked to find anything, be it maximum zero fuel weight, be it the trip fuel, be it the payload, and there are 5 questions asked from it, and it requires high conceptual knowledge. And some questions of the payload are pretty tricky. So you need to keep on revising them, understand the topic. And payload not only important for Indigo, even in AIX, and when Air India did its last CPL examination, payload was asked a lot. So payload is something you need to focus on in navigation. All right. Now moving to aviation meteorology. So aviation meteorology, it is considered to be one of the easiest subjects in your DGCA and ATPL. However, it is one of the toughest subjects for your airline entrance exam and even for your personal interview, because here you are asked the concept behind it. The questions don't come directly from your question banks. So airlines are testing your ability to predict weather impacts on a heavy jet, not just identifying clouds. So around 2, 3 questions were asked in Indigo like this. Okay. Hazards and icing. Structural icing. What are the specific temperature ranges of rime versus clear ice formation in different cloud types? Okay, so one question that I can recall as of now in Indigo was that you are taking off from an aerodrome which is on a hilltop. Outside air temperature is plus 10 degrees and there is an inversion layer, and your freezing level is at 3000 feet. At what altitude will the icing form and what kind of icing? So this requires a pretty good concept knowledge, and to deep dive into it, you need to understand the basics and how the icing is forming, and same for all the other topics of your meteorology. Now, next is thunderstorm, lightning, strike probability versus temperature identifying. All right, what about your cyclones and all that? Okay, so again, thunderstorms and when are they formed? What are the 3 conditions for formation of the thunderstorm? And what are the stages? What is the duration of the stages? All this is very important. All right. Then moving to your meta decoding again. META decoding, very, very important, asked in all the exams all around the world. Even if you think of changing on airlines in the future, META is something which is very basic and asked. Again, in Indigo, both the attempts, what is GR was asked. So students tend to confuse GR, that is hail, with BR. Can anyone tell me what is BR?
Mist.
Missed.
Correct. So GR is hail and MIFG is shallow fog. So these are the things which are usually asked. So METAR is something which you need to keep on revising and you need to be thorough with. And what is Prop 30, tempo, all this need to be understood. Now speaking about your winds are again very good conceptual questions are asked about winds. What is veering? What is backing? What happens in cold and warm front when you are ahead of the cold front, when you are during the passage of the cold front, after the cold front has passed, what happens to the winds, the temperature, the density, how does your altimeter react when you are inside of a cold front, then questions of veering and backing, what happens in anticyclone, cyclone. So all these questions are asked and they require a good amount of knowledge. So again, aviation meteorology students mug up the question banks and they think the questions will come up just like DGCA. However, a good amount of theoretical questions are asked from MET. Karthik, you had given AIX, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you appear for Indigo's exam also? It was after that?
Uh, no, sir, not the September 2024 one.
Okay. So you would have seen a lot of questions in that related to this. All right. So again, Indian climatology, very important. Again, more than written, it is more important for your personal interview. In your written exam, you can answer the questions, but in personal interview, you will be asked of your monsoons, that where is the low pressure forming, where is the depression forming, what is break in monsoon, and how is the monsoon trough again comes to the south, pressure increases. All these questions are asked. Okay, the sudden onset over Kerala, Arabian Sea versus Bay of Bengal branches. There are two branches and the monsoon trough ITCZ position. So around good about 10 to 15 questions can be formed from just these two lines. All right. Then western disturbances, very important. Then your fog also comes into it. What is the origin? How is the movement? And in the winter, rain and fog they bring to the North India. So again, a question is asked. This is a very famous question, that what kind of fog is formed after passage of western disturbance? Anyone?
Radiation fog.
Correct. So that is one of the question asked. Then local severe storms, again, what is the physics behind your northwesters, also known as Kalvisakis in Assam side in the east, and the dust storms, Andhi or Lu, where are they formed? In the northwest. And what is the difference between Andhi and Lu, and why is it? These questions are asked. And again, in aviation meteorology, certain questions about your dry adiabatic, saturated adiabatic lapse rate, ELR, what are the conditions, what are the conditions for uh, stability, instability, conditional stability, what happens in inversion and in icing also. Yeah, I just told you a question about icing. These kind of questions are asked. All right. Now let's talk about your regulations. Regulations is something which is very vast because of all your rules, laws, acts. However, more than that, the more important thing for us is human performance. Even the other part of air regulations is important. However, the possibility of the questions coming for us as pilots are very predictable and we can study about that. So it is the rule book of the Indian Sky. Regulations focus heavily on safety distances. Every time Indigo has asked this question, we'll come to that, and pilot responsibility under the ICAO DGCA framework. So refueling protocols, this question was asked. Minimum safety distance 15 meter for jet engines and naked lights. Then what is the danger zone? Okay, all these questions are asked. There are around 5 points which you need to remember, and any question can be from one of those points. Then comes wake turbulence. What are your separation standards for light versus heavy aircraft and the logic behind wake categories? So again, This is very important. You need to remember those values, how many minutes or how many nautical miles if you're coming in for landing or in air. And this is also asked in your personal interviews. Question like if you are taking off from an intersection and 777 has departed from a threshold, how much time will you wait before taking off? All right, so wake turbulence is also very important, and one question is expected from this as well. Then coming to your IFR and VMC minimas. So you should be aware, again, one question was asked in Indigo. If you are flying in IFR over a mountainous region, what should be the clearance? That question is asked. If you have studied, you know it. If you have not studied, then
Yes, sir. It is 2000 feet within 8 kilometers of the estimated position.
correct. So that's it. If you have studied it, you know it. If you have not studied it, you have lost a mark. You can only guess. So questions like these are asked. Then airspaces, permissions, and requirement for echo versus golf. What are the airspaces? What are the airspaces in India? All right. So recently, airspaces question is not asked in written exam. However, very important question for your vivas and personal interviews. Why? Because recently there was a change in airspace which has not been mentioned in your aviation books. Anyone knows what is that about Delhi airspace? All right, find out about it. Okay, so airspaces is also very important. Then MEL responsibilities. Again, MEL is also very important, that who holds the legal authority to draft the minimum equipment list. Difference between MEL and MMEL. That is always asked, very important. And how to go about your MEL list, and till when is your MEL valid? These questions are also very important. So suppose if you have given a takeoff power, is the MEL valid? And if you are not given the takeoff power, you're standing on the threshold ready for the takeoff, is the MEL valid? The answer is different for both. So you need a good concept clarity about MEL, difference between MEL and MMEL. Then communications, procedure for RCF, total radio failure, and finite transmission of decimal points. Then one thing which we forgot to cover is your human performance. Very, very important. Your time of useful consciousness, hypoxia, water bends, nitrogen bends. All right, these questions are always asked because they are practical and very important in for your examination. More important than these slides. Around 3-4 questions are expected from your human performance. All right, so you need to study your human performance thoroughly. Then comes technical general, the most important topic for your written examination. I'm sure all of you who have given the examinations till now, or who are planning, or they would have heard what are the examinations. So you would be knowing, you would have heard that technical general is the most asked subject. So previous years exam patterns show a heavy emphasis on jet engine malfunction and structural integrity. Now again, speaking about strictly about Indigo, if you are Indigo and AIX 737 vacancy that came out, the more questions were on gas turbine engine. However, if it was an ATR vacancy, more questions were asked on propeller theory. All right, so depends on the vacancy as well. So here a heavy emphasis on the jet engine malfunction and structural integrity. What is the difference between hung start, hot start, dry cranking, wet cranking? What are the recognition? What is the engine RPM indicators and corrective actions? This is very important. These questions are asked in both your CPL exams and type rated examinations, because this is common for all your, be it 737, ATR, or A320. Engine performance, impact of bleed air on cruise performance, and the definition of EPR. What is the EPR ratio? This question is always asked. Engine performance, bleed air, what happens, then what happens during the engine stall, EGT increasing. These are the things which are asked, especially in the Indigo. Components, logic of centrifugal compressors, impellers, diffusers, and high bypass ratios. Again, a question is asked on high bypass ratio. What is a bypass ratio? All right, if you are type rated, you should know the bypass ratio of all the engines. All right, then in airframe and systems, materials. In this, more of monocoque and semi-monocoque questions are asked. All right, more practical questions. In your flight controls, the purpose of specialized controls like fries ailerons, and stick pushers. So fries ailerons has something related to your adverse aileron. Your stick pushers has to do something with your stall. So again, principle of flight is very important. Majority of questions in your POF are asked from stall, drag, and Dutch roll. So these are the most asked questions in POF. All right, I think we have covered it. Yes, principle of flight and performance. So focus on how speed changes affect performance and the economics of the flight. I'm sure you all would have heard of cost index, CASK. Everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what is cost index? Again, a question is asked in both your CPL and for your type rated. Then what is CASK? We will come to that. Then aerodynamics, induced drag. What is induced drag? The mathematical relationship between lift and drag. Then from induced drag, we can go to your ground effect. All right. What happens in ground effect? How is your lift and drag affected when you are entering into the ground effect or you are exiting the ground effect? Around 5-6 questions are framed from there. The lift coefficient, how CL must change when the IAS is doubled to maintain level flight. This exact question was asked in April 2024, Indigo. All right. And many students got confused or they marked the wrong answer under pressure, even though it is a simple question. But however, how does your CL change? How does your lift change? All these things, the answer is different. And again, you need to be careful while reading the question. Then aircraft performance, again, very important. Weight and balance factors affecting your MTOW and payload. All right. V speed calculations, all the V speed, importance of V1, V2, VMCG, VMCA, then your takeoff segments, they are very important. Then all the net gradient, gross and net gradient, all these are the important questions which are asked from your aircraft performance. Then CASK of Indigo was asked. All right. So you should know what is cost per available seat kilometer. Okay. Again, human performance. The subject separates the CPL student from the airline professionals by focusing on cockpit stresses. Very important. Now, time of useful consciousness, always asked. Very, very important because it is something related to your depressurization and it is something every pilot should know. So, mandatory knowledge of TLC duration at high altitudes, 35,000 feet. The question of 35,000 feet was asked. Then, what is hyperventilation? The chemical change in the blood, CO2 loss, and symptoms. If someone is hyperventilating, how should they get out of it? What should they do? This question is also asked. Spatial disorientation, again, question was asked that what happens a pilot makes an abrupt head movement during IFR flight. Then your options were spatial disorientation, bends, hypoxia, and something like that. Okay. So spatial disorientation, you should know what happens when you're flying during the fog, what indication do you get? All these questions are important. Medical terms, okay, medical terms you should know. And I think in 2022 Air India, medical terms like hypotension and hypertension was also asked. That is regarding your blood pressure. Okay. Then again, just a sum up of this strategic study checklist, how to prioritize. General navigation, you have to master the 1:60 rule. It is very important. If you do not understand how 1:60 rule is derived, how to apply it, you won't be able to understand many topics, be it NDB ADF, there also it is used. We spoke about ILS, we spoke about your AWR, even in your AWR, the formula which is given of AWR that is calculated using your 1:60 rule. Then again in your general navigation, climb and descent can be calculated. Rate of climb and rate of descent can be calculated by 1:60 rule. Your track error, total correction is calculated, can be calculated by 1:60 rule. So it is very important. And CPPNR, you'll be given outbound ground speed or task can also be given and you won't be having the calculators. You have to make all the calculations on the rough sheet that will be given to you. All right. And in meteorology, memorize the Indian climatology specifics, monsoons, fog timings, when is the coldest time of the day, when is the hottest time, diurnal variation of temperature and pressure. All right. Very important. In regulation, read the DGCA cards. all right? Not all of them, only which are important from exams point of view, specifically on refueling and FDTL. FDTL is something which is in news currently, and the new FDTL rules can be asked, all right? So you need to be thorough with the FDTL rules. And technical general, the jet engine cycle, your POF, and don't stick just to your Cessna and Piper piston logics. All right, you should know everything about the jet engine as well, difference between Otto cycle, Brayton cycle. All right, all these questions are asked. Then numericals, obviously you won't be having a calculator, and you are given 75 minutes to complete 60 questions. All right, so the time is less and you cannot spend too much time on one question. So you need to plan out your examination. If there's a question which you think will consume a lot of time, you can leave it and do it later. And there would be certain questions like full form of CPDLC. They won't take any of your time. And your Indigo, they do OMR based. So again, you have to circle the using your pen or pencil. That also consumes a lot of time if you compare it to computer based examination. So you need to counter that as well. All right. So this is about your written examination. All right. And soon we are also going to start a new batch of airline entrance, which will be covering about all the CPL subjects in detail. And whenever a vacancy comes, it will also cover the crash course. All right. If you want any additional information, you can contact us on this is our number and this is the website. Feel free to contact us. All right. Now, anyone has any doubts?
Hello, sir. Parmeet here.
Hi, Pramit.
Yeah, sir, I had a doubt, sir. Now,
Yes.
in terms of studying, do you think studying those Oxford 13 books of Oxford, in terms would be more than enough for the Indigo written exam?
I mean, yeah, it is more than enough, but is it practical? I mean, yes, you have a lot of time, but if you can physically or your brain can handle that much of information, go ahead with it.
No, I
Uh,
mean, because anyways, out of those 13, three are for nav, three are for
mm-hmm,
technical, one is
correct,
for met. Those are the books that we've already studied anyways in the past as well, right? For clearing those DGC exams.
correct.
Mm,
So again, regarding your tech gen, it will cover your technical general well. Oxford books cover the concept really well. If you study the theory as well, you won't face any problems. However, regarding your metrology, I feel that certain
and so,
questions.
what do you think we should get? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
No, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I was saying regarding your metrology, again, a lot of concept-based questions are asked. You need to understand the reason behind every phenomena that is happening, like how does monsoon come into the India? What are
Okay.
the factors? And I think your Oxford doesn't cover Indian climatology. So these are
Yeah.
the extra things that you need to take care of,
Hmm.
and you can avoid uh, questions and metrology about other countries. We will just stick to India, and certain questions and a lot of questions are asked about Indian climatology only. So usually, yes, it is enough your Oxford, but however, you need to understand the concept, and the questions are some of the questions are good, but mostly conceptual questions are asked and no direct questions are asked.
And sir, for me, I'm thinking to get myself type rated right now
Okay.
rather than sit for CPL. What's your opinion?
Type rating, if you want to go ahead with it. There's nothing wrong because again, we did a webinar about it last week. Because in type rating, like recently, Air India's vacancy came out that was only for type rated candidates. If you're type rated, for sure, if a vacancy comes out, you will be able to appear. However, if you are only CPL candidate, it is a possibility that you might not be able to sit in the exam. But again, if you are type rated, the competition is a bit lesser. But again, that depends for which aircraft you are going, what is the reason, and the competition. So that is the gist of it.
By the way, sir, does your academy have any type rating organizations where you send your students to?
No, currently we are only focusing on teaching, that is pre-type rating, post-type rating, and airline examinations.
And so, according to you, which aircraft should one get type rated on? currently? Like three, I'm thinking 320, but some people are saying 737 would be better.
Again, it is your personal opinion. I am no one to tell you to do of which one. Again, A320, statistically speaking, currently more A320s are flying in India. 737s are a bit less. However, if you get rated in 737 also, Akasa and AIX vacancy is expected in the second half of the year. And A320, again, Indigo's vacancy is expected this year. And again, ATR, not many people think of it. If you are ATR rated, 90 to 95% you will get selected and there won't be any competition, as only 60 people sat in Indigo's ATR vacancy. I think last year, October or September, the exam was held.
Oh, all right, sir. So, and lastly, sir, my question was, sir, if I do get type rated and if I'm sitting on a type rated vacancy in the written exam, are the questions only from the type rating part, or is it technical general still involved over there? You know, questions from basic technical
Yes,
general and
so in your Indigo, 30 questions are from A320 systems and 30 questions are CPL. So your CPL questions, some will be from your technical general, that is POF, about your drags. Some questions will be about your jet engine, but that you'll be able to answer because you have studied about that in detail in A320 or 737. And lastly, some questions are about your 1 is to 60. So detailed CPL questions are not asked in type rated examination. And in Air India, around 45 questions are A320 systems and 15 questions are CPL.
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions or doubts?
Sir, this is Rohan.
Hi, Rohit.
Sir, my question is like last 2 weeks before only I completed my 200 and recently I applied for my CPL. So I'm just planning for the CPL vacancy only. I just wanted to know about these classes and one of my senior is recommended your class and he's currently with you.
Okay. So you
Sir, I
want
just
to go ahead.
yes, sir, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
What is the question? What do you want to know about our CPL airline
Uh,
classes?
uh, yes, sir. I just wanted to join the airline class and like what will be done. Like, can you explain me this?
Okay, so we are planning to start our airline classes that will be on in like second half of the February. That is like after 15 February, and classes will be regular. There will be like 3 to 4 classes in a week of about 1.5 to 2 hours. We'll be covering the topics in detail, and so whenever any airline vacancy comes out, all right. So we are assuming that we would have completed our syllabus by then. However, if airline vacancy, let's say, comes out immediately in May or June, when we wouldn't have completed our syllabus, then we'll complete the rest of the syllabus under crash course. However, if we are assuming that we have completed our syllabus in detail and a vacancy comes out later, then you will also be part of the crash course. In that, we'll be going through all the chapters, all the topics in detail, but our main focus will be towards the questions, the previous year questions and the important questions. So we do the questions in the class, and then we open the our books or the theory, that where is it given and why is it written. So in crash course, we'll be focusing more on the questions. In the theoretical classes, we'll go in CPL subjects in detail so that you have a great clarity, and the crash course will be sticking to questions.
Right, sir.
All right. Anyone else? Any doubts?
Sir, I wanted to ask that I just finished my CPL like last year in September.
Okay.
I did clear all my papers right now, so I'm going for the conversion next month.
Okay. All
So,
right.
but I did my CPL on a single engine only.
Hmm.
So I didn't
Okay.
did multi-engine. So is it recommended that I should do this multi-engine also?
So multi-engine is needed for your A320 type rating. And if you want to sit in A320 type rated examination, that is either of your Indigo or Air India, you
Yes.
can get the endorsement, but they won't allow you to sit in the examination. I think Boeing allows without multi-engine endorsement.
Uh, but
And
but I talked to some of my friends, so like they are right now. I think you should do it because now even Boeing started asking for multi-engine also.
yes, the recommended procedure is to go for your multi-engine as well. because it does not restrict you anymore because you're only CPL rated. On top of that, you do not have multi-engine rating. So Indigo and Air India won't let you sit even if you are only CPL rated. So that is one disadvantage that you have.
Okay. So which aircraft should I do for multi-engine? You can recommend if.
Uh, as far as I know, no aircraft as such is like you can do on any aircraft. You just need to find a slot. It does not matter you do it from which aircraft. You'll just get the endorsement of that aircraft and just go to any school which has a good safety record and is giving you slot because slots for conversion is also very hard to find. As such, there's no recommendation for any aircraft. That does not matter much.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
right. Anyone? Any more questions? No questions? All right. Thank you so much, everyone. If you are willing to join our batches, we might be having a demo class as well, like in last week of January. You can attend that as well. And our CPL classes will be beginning in second half of February. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in the cockpit soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.